Okay, this is a quick demo of 3 key assets from Unity Technologies that we are going to grab and tear to pieces and suck every bit of asset out of it that we can use. So the first one is the Viking Village. This was done, I think, around 2015. These take a bit of a time to load. This wasn't too bad. What we've got a lovely well, to be honest, our flare is probably a bit, well, I prefer our flare, but nice sun flare. And flare, we can work on that. Nice lighting, reflections there. I don't know if they're using the Voland on this, but you're getting some nice reflections of the light. The wood assets are quite good. The ground asset here is fabulous. Where is it? Can't really see it here. No. Here we go. So this lovely ground asset here. I'm going to grab that terrain and have it. Quite nice water. The these are really good. Right, these torches. So that's this is the Viking Village. The texture of the mountains and the mountains in the background are good. These men here are great. Shields, swords, all sorts of assets to grab and use in our own scenes. And yeah, the barrels, good looking barrels actually, which makes you wonder why people, when they're creating their own, I think you have, I'm not sure if you're allowed to distribute this in your own assets. These assets, I think you can get into trouble doing that. You can create your own game using these assets, but to create your own assets using these assets, I think, is a problem. You can't sell these assets as your own or part thereof. Licensing is a bit of an issue, but if you want this stuff for your own games, then that's fine. But if you want to create your own assets on your asset store, I don't think you're allowed to use these unless you get special permission to. Although I have noticed things like Gaia using things that are remarkably similar. And what I would do, in my game, I'd either make these bigger so you can actually get into them and interactable. There's an invisible wall there, I think, or something. I don't know, I just got stuck on something. Or you make it so that you teleport, press F and you teleport into, and then you can go a bit more crazy with, in terms of internal details. But if you have a look at this, the size, the scale of it doesn't really seem to work unless it's just a cupboard. There's a lot of cupboards here. Well, you've got room for a bed. So these would have to be a lot bigger if people were actually using them. But still, amazing asset. On to the next one. Have to Alt F4 out. No escape functionality, which is a shame. Could have put it in, didn't bother. Blacksmith demo, next one. Right, this one's a bit buggy. I have no idea. If you know why, let me know, it'd be great. Something to do with layered particle effects and conflicts in the advanced rendering pipeline, I think. So this one's called the Blacksmith. There's Blacksmith demo assets. Again, you can just grab this, put it into your project, use every asset you want. Again, there is a caveat: you can't just plonk it in your own assets, although they have made specific mention. Let's see. Yeah, try and take you away from the flickering. Look at this grass. This is proper grass, and we are going to grab it. It's a vegetation system which they have allowed. They are giving people permission to use, and it's using a Voland rendering system which allows really nice reflections on the landscape when you can get away from the horror of the flickering. Over here we've got world machine terrain up there, absolutely fabulous. And That's got a volume texture on it so that it reflects the lights. So you can change, yeah, we can change different lighting with V, pressing V. And this is the Blacksmith environmental demo. So we're going to put the Viking and the Blacksmith together. We'll mush it up and just grab all the assets we can. We're going to take these textures like this palm tree. We can make our own palm trees. I've shown you how to do that, and we can use these amazing textures and assets, and then we can make them actually give them a bit of life on a Unity terrain to actually go with the wind. And that was the Blacksmith demo. Alt F4 to get out. A little bit buggy. Could do with fixing that, but hey. Now, finally, for this demo section, we're going to look at the Book of the Dead. So this is amazing, but it's a massive 4 or 5 gig download, and for some reason the actual scene is very hard to load. It's trying to do an awful lot. So what we're going to do with this one is very similar to the other two, is grab every asset we can to put into our scene. Now this is a nice GUI. Not sure what scrub means, but again, let's escape to begin. Was it tab? Yeah, sets off the nice, lovely colouring, fabulous, nice cliffs, nice sound effects, amazing textures, Quixel mega scans. So this shows what you can do when you spend a bit of money in the shop. But you're allowed to use these textures for your game. These are demo ones, but again, you're not allowed to redistribute these in an asset without getting express permission from people. So you can't use them in assets that you make yourself to put on the shop. What you can do is put them in your game. You are given a license to do that. As far as I'm aware, that's what I'm aware. That you can use. That shadowing there on the back is a little bit, I don't know, contrived. I'm not a great fan of the intensity of the wind on the grass. Not too bad here. We're moving very fast, so you can barely see. To be honest, the camera's hiding a lot of sins. The bushes are fabulous. The trees are fabulous. The sound effects are fabulous. It is fabulous. If I tab out again once I get to the really well lit cliff. Nice volumetric lighting there. The volumetric system you can use, volumetric fog, it's available in the Adam package, but I'm still working on figuring that out. At the moment I'm using something called Aura free volumetric lighting, which I will do an episode on. And although this does look amazing, trying to implement it into a game is not a trivial thing. Even when we've got the assets, they really are making them shine here with little tricks of post-production. Right, so I press tab. I'm not a fan of motion blur. The wind there is fine if we're an absolute gale, but this grass business and that's kind of okay, I suppose. The clover, this grass doesn't look very convincing really, which is surprising given that the grass in Blacksmith, which was done previously, was so much prettier. But this stuff does have some lovely extra ones, like that stuff. That's rather nice. And of course, it's going to be a bit of a shock to go back to the normal terrain system, but we can get that to do some good things. Another thing to notice about this terrain is that it really doesn't do much texturing of the terrain. It layers so many extra things on top of that to cover up a very bland terrain, which we'll see in a teardown if I actually go through it in more detail later. The colours are fantastic, aren't they? And yeah, this was really the inspiration for doing this course, was to try and see if we can take these assets and create something, aim for this level, but obviously it's not going to be, you know, we're going to try and implement as close as we can get to this into the Unity engine for an actual game. That's the aim. We may fall a bit short of that, but that's what we're aiming for. So that was the 3 different things. I'm going to Alt F4 out of here, and that was the Book of the Dead. We've got Viking, Blacksmith and Book of the Dead, and we're going to import them all into a project, and then we're going to create our own scene. So that is the plan for this section. I hope you found this interesting.